Hello everyone and welcome to the next in our series of daily origami for YouTube. Today we're going to continue with our modular theme and we're going to make a kusudama today. And I actually was thinking originally I was going to make a couple for you guys, but I realized that doing daily kusudama is a little hard because there's so much folding that I have to do. So I'm just going to do the one and then move on to some Halloween things because I know a lot of people are anxious to see some stuff for Halloween. I know I'll have some time later on to come back to modular origami in general. There's so many other things we haven't even done yet. Some really cool projects that I'd like to share with you guys. But for the time being, we're going to probably make this project our last project of the modular theme before we move on to some other stuff. So if you are ready to do a kusudama, then you know you need to have a lot of paper. The project we're going to make today involves pieces that look like this, and they're actually two parts, so double the paper. You'll need a total of 48 sheets of paper, 24 for the outer part and 24 for the inner part as well. And then you just basically actually sew the pieces together to make a completed ball. And if there's people out there that want to try to say that, you know, in origami you don't use scissors, you don't use glue, you don't use needle and thread, and that's actually not true. Kusudama have been around for a lot longer than all of us have been around, and it's a traditional art form here and is always, almost always done with needle and thread. So, but it's a great fun project and it makes a really beautiful finished thing. So we'll go through the pieces of how to make this part first and then how to assemble your kusudama. So I'm going to be using standard origami paper size here, 15 by 15 centimeter paper, and both the outer and inner part are made using the same size paper. So we're going to start off by making the outer part. What we want to do is we're going to go ahead and start off with our color side facing down, and I'm just going to go ahead and put my diagonal creases in my paper. And then I'm going to put my color side facing up and fold in half vertically and horizontally. Once I'm done with that, I'm just going to hold it with the color side facing down and look at those mountain creases that I have, and if I pinch those and bring it all together, I should be able to swivel it around until I get to this nice diamond shape, like so. And then I'm going to go ahead and take the top outer edge and fold it into my center. Get a good crease on that, and then I'm going to be opening up the pocket inside here and smushing that down so I get something like this. And I'm just going to repeat that for the other three remaining sides. So I have one here on the left, and then the two on the other side. So that you get something that looks like this. And you want to make sure, of course, that you're looking at the white side here, not this part. Make sure the flaps are even, that you have 4 on each side. Then I'm going to go ahead and take the bottom part here and I'm going to fold it up and against that center crease. I'm just going to turn it around here because it makes it a little easier to fold. But you're going to go around and do the first two here and then flip it over and do the two on the back as well. Once you get that done, go ahead and find the other set of white by flipping over these pieces like so, and then fold into the center there for those as well. So that you have something that looks like this. Then we want to go ahead and turn it around like so. And I'm going to be taking this little leg that you see here. And if I pinch these two sides together as I work, what I want to do is I'm going to push this little leg out. And I'm going to be creating a crease that's right where that white edge is for both sides as I do this. And I'm going to be taking this valley crease that's right here and reversing it to become a mountain. So if I just push forward and let this part come in, I can kind of pinch on the side here and here. And it's a pretty natural kind of crease because you're dealing with edges there. And then I'm just going to smooth all this out so I get a nice good reversal there so that I have this nice little thing sticking out like so. And then I'm just going to go around and do the same thing for the other three remaining sides so that I have these kind of like petals sticking out. So when you're finished, you should have something that looks like this, with those four sides out. And then we have these other little kind of shorter sides here. I'm going to do something very similar. I'm just going to give a little push on those as I pinch here so that I can kind of get this to come in. And it should be, you know, about even to where you've got this other side going. But it's not a really like very strict kind of thing. We're just trying to get that in and pinch it in so that we can get this nice little pocket here for the sides between the two larger petals. And I'm just going to go around and do that for all of the other three remaining areas here. So they have something that looks like this. And that's the finished base piece for the flower. And then we're going to move on to making the yellow that goes inside. So put that to the side and we'll get our yellow paper out. And for the yellow, what we're going to be doing is starting with our color side facing up this time. I'm going to go ahead and put my diagonal creases in my paper. Open it up with the color side facing down and then fold to find my horizontal and vertical creases as well. Then looking at it with the color side facing up, finding those mountain peaks, the mountain edges again, I'm just going to go ahead and pinch on those and shimmy it around until I can get to this nice diamond shape again. And we're going to go ahead and fold down with that tip that's not open at the top. I'm going to roll down again my edge to my center, just like we did with the other piece. And I'm going to open that up then, open up the pocket inside, and smooth this out. So I get a little white down here and a larger triangle on top. And then I'll just repeat that for the three remaining sides. So I'll do this left side first. And then flip it over and do the other side. That you have something that looks like this again. And for this though, we want to make sure instead of looking at the solid space, we're going to flip over one time, turn it over and flip over again so that we can see the little legs down here. Make sure you have 4 on each side so that you're looking at an even kind of piece. And then what we're going to do is down here I'm going to take the bottom edge and fold into the center again and eliminate that white spot. So I'll do this side first, and then I'm going to go ahead and flip it over and do the same thing on these sides here. And once you've done the front and the back, then go ahead and fold over the flaps until you can find the other white areas and fold those sides in as well. And do the back side as well. And that'll give us all of the sides folded in towards the center so that we get something that looks like this. Then I'm going to go ahead and take one of the flaps from the left and push it over, flip everything over, and do the same thing again. This should give you a nice smooth surface here. And I'm going to take the little part that's down here and push it up as far as I can. It's going to reach the edge here that's going to stop it from going much farther. But go ahead and fold that straight up, flip it over, and fold this side straight up as well. And then go ahead and open over the flaps until you can find the last 2 sides that we need to fold up as well. So that you are able to create a nice flat edge down here at the bottom. You get something like this. And that's the finished yellow piece then that you need for this. And if you take a look at the flower that you have here, you want to go ahead and arrange all 8 of these little sides into the little pockets that you see here on the inside of the flower. So I'll go around and try to get those in here like so. And then you just push down as far as you can. And if you kind of pinch on the sides, you should have like a tight flower like this, or you can let it kind of open up to be one like so. But that's kind of the finished little design then that we're going to be using to make our kusudama. Now it's a point of preference, but if you wanted to, instead of having spiky little pieces here, you can go ahead and roll these out and around. Using like a pencil works really good to curl these. I'm just going to go ahead and assemble the ball first with these pointy sides, but then it's a point of preference. I actually think they look really pretty when you roll them around, but in hopes of saving myself some time, I'm going to just keep it with the pointy edges for now. So, so if you've made one of these now, you want to then repeat this 23 more times so that you can have all the pieces that you need to make your ball. So I've got all of my pieces here, and I have a couple that are actually a darker pink and a darker yellow just because I ran out of the lighter colors. So, but I'm going to use this kind of as just an accent to kind of mix things up a little bit. What you want to do is we're going to separate all of these 24 into 3 sets of 8. So you want to separate those into those 3 sets of 8, and I just kind of randomly kind of mixed it up a little bit so that I have a couple of those darker colored ones in here. I'm not going to be too worried about how this turns out in terms of where those land. We can worry about that later. But what you want to do is you're going to need, like I said, some needle and thread, and let me move these guys out of the way here. I'm going to show you guys with some black thread, but of course, and I don't even know if you guys can even see this, but you can use, of course, a lighter color. The reality is you won't see much of this at all. It's very hidden inside the inner part of the ball. So what you want to do, though, is we're going to sew each of these sets of 8 together and tie them off. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut a little bit of thread here and get my needle ready. And you want to make sure when you're doing this that you're not you don't want to pierce the bottom too exact to the tip, because we want to make sure to catch that yellow as well. So it's good to, when you look at your pieces, to kind of look at them folded in half so that you have 4 ridges on each side, and then just go ahead and go through, you know, about 1 centimeter up is probably good, straight through to the other side. And you can use, I'm using a really thick needle just to make it a little easier to see, but you can choose to do much smaller one if you want to, of course. Let's see here, I'll go ahead and do. Just go ahead and sew through each of these, kind of creating a little line of them, and you know, keep one end of your string open over here on the other side, and work your way around. So I've got all these kind of strung together, and I'm starting to tie my knot here, and I'm just going to give a little gentle pull on all of it. And you want to keep it, you know, not super tight, but pretty good here with all these guys kind of lined up good. And you know, you can go ahead and tie these off with just a couple ties of a basic knot here, just to make sure it's secure. And then when you're done, you can just go ahead and trim off the extra string, and you should have then this kind of collection of the flowers that are all strung together like so, and being held together by the string. So you want to then repeat that with the other 2 sets of 8, and we'll have these completed pieces to put together. So I'll go ahead and repeat those steps, and then we can go from there. So when you're finished, you should have 3 sets of 8 of these little rings kind of all sewn together. And what I want to do is, if I just put them to the side for a second here, I'm going to take some string that's a little thicker, and if you wanted to, you could actually have strung together the flowers, the bases too with this if you wanted to. It's just kind of a point of preference. And then some people like, if you're doing more of a traditional display, this you can use this kind of embroidery string to make like a tassel, or you can buy a tassel, and those are often red, and then they're arranged at the bottom of the ball to make a completed decorative kusudama. But we're going to just use this to give ourselves a little bit more strength with this piece of string. You want to have a pretty decent length of string, and you want to double it up. So 2 strings that are the same, about the same length. It doesn't really matter because we'll be cutting it all later, but just start here with the 2, and then we're going to go ahead and tie it in a knot in the middle so that we can have actually 4 ends to what we're working on here. So I've got my string tied here and in a knot, and so then I can have 4 legs to it, if you will, kind of spreading out from that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of the little balls that I made. I'm just going to have it rest so that you can kind of see the center of that crosshair of that string there in the middle. And because these flowers are a little spiky, it can be a little tricky here, but you want to try to kind of weave a way to get the string up through a little bit as you work. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, so now I just want to make sure I'm in the middle, you know, as I work here, and that the string can go through. What we're going to be basically doing is kind of taking all of these layers and laying them on top of each other and tying them together with this string. So I've got those there, and I'm going to take one more here and just set it in the middle. And it's okay, it doesn't really matter where this falls. We just want to kind of get it just arranged somewhere on top here. And like I said, it's not really that strict yet. We're just wanting to get it kind of going, because we're going to form it into a ball more when we're done. And then you put the last layer on top. So you've got this big kind of like pineapple looking tower of stuff here. So, and then what you want to do is just kind of weave around the pieces that you've got here up through these layers to try to get your string. And you want to try to keep it so that, you know, you're going every 2 or 3 to keep everything kind of going at a good angle here. you want to try to bring up those strings to the top. I'm going to turn around here because I can't see, but so just keep bringing up those strings from the bottom to the very top here. And then I'm going to do opposite sides here, and I'm just going to go ahead and take these two that I have here, for example, and give a little tug to make sure that it's all the way through. And as you pull, you'll notice that the bottom part can kind of be pulled around to be more ball shaped. So I'm just going to keep giving a little tug, and then I'm going to go ahead and tie this off as tight as I can here in the middle, and give a little tug on that as I work. And once you get a good kind of tight hold on that, then you can just double knot it up a couple times if you like. And then I'm going to go ahead and do from the other side as well. And double knot that a couple of times. And that should leave you with all these strings then in the center. And that's where too, if you wanted to, you could, treat that as a tassel if you liked. And then you can go around and just kind of rearrange everything here and get them standing up at different angles. Try to fill out the rest of the ball if you can. And then this would be where if you wanted to, you could kind of, choose to do the arrangement where you can make the flowers petals curl down if you wanted to on this, because that does look really pretty if you can get all these flowers done like that. But this should give you then kind of a full completed kusudama, or decorative ball. And with a little bit of maneuvering and kind of giving a little squeeze from different angles, you can get it to be a little bit more even in the distribution of the flowers in every part. But you want to be able to get something that looks like this. And that is our finished project for today. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.